week number 7. Today we're going to be talking about balancing our calories. So balancing your calories can look like 2 different things. It can look like how many calories are you eating, how many are you taking in, but it also has to do with how many are you burning. So we want it to kind of equal out. And if you are trying to work on losing weight, then obviously we want that scale to be kind of tilted one way. We want to be burning more and maybe taking in less, doing both of those in order to help lose weight. But before we get started on our lesson today, I want you guys to take a second and look over the goals that you set for last week. Kind of look at how did you do. Do you feel like you achieved your goal? Do you feel like you kind of fell off the wagon at Thanksgiving and you just haven't quite gotten back on yet? Or what do you need to change if you don't feel like you hit your goal? Or maybe you feel like you did a great job and hit your goal, and think about what you can set for your goal for next week. So I'll give you a second to kind of look over that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talking about that balancing act again. So as you know, losing weight can help you to prevent type 2 diabetes. And so today we're going to discuss how to lose weight by burning more calories than you take in. And so there is a link between those calories and weight. And so we've talked a lot of the last few weeks about what is a calorie. And so you know that calories are just a measure of energy. So a measure of energy can be how much energy you're using to burn calories or how much energy you're taking in to eat. And so a few questions that I have for you right now are going to be, what is the food that you have eaten over the past 7 weeks that you've now looked at put it in your MyFitnessPal, or you've looked at the food label and you've realized that this food has a lot more calories in it than I thought it did. An example that I have right now for you guys is that a few weeks ago, one of my roommates brought home one of those Sam's Club muffins, and they are delicious, and they're huge muffins, and that's what makes them good. But when I looked at the nutrition label, before I had looked at it, I thought, this probably has about 350, 400 calories in it, and when I flipped it over, I learned that it had about 550. In one of those muffins that's about this big. So even I got surprised by how many calories were in it. And so maybe shoot me an email, let me know some of the foods that you've eaten that have surprised you of the calorie amounts. Or maybe you have eaten something and been pleasantly surprised at how few of calories that you're eating when you take that in. So maybe it's a piece of string cheese that only has 80 calories in it. Or maybe it's your salad that you decided to switch from ranch dressing to like an oil-based dressing or a vinaigrette. And so you've learned that you decreased your calories and you still enjoy your food. So once again, send me an email. Let me know how that's going or what you've been surprised about. And other things, too, that you may be surprised about is maybe your drinks, what you've been drinking. Maybe you've switched to a different drink because of the calorie content or the amount of sugar that was in your drink. Okay. So if your goal is to lose weight, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to burn more calories than you take in. This does not have to be I have to physically exert more energy and burn more calories than I'm taking in by doing an increased amount of activity. It very well could be doing both eating healthier and increasing your physical activity. If all you're doing is exercising more, you're also going to feel more hungry. So you're going to want to eat more as well. And if all you do is eat less food, you're going to be hungry all the time because you're restricting all of your food. And so we want you to not feel hungry all the time. We want you to enjoy your food and still get to eat. So doing both of those will hopefully allow you to not be as hungry all of the time. But today for our participant guide, if you turn to page 3, we have Paul's story. And what you'll see here is that Paul is a 47-year-old man, weighs 240 pounds, and is at risk for type 2 diabetes. His doctor urges him to lose 40 pounds at about 1 pound a week. So, what would 1 pound a week of weight loss be restricting in calorie form? It's going to be about 500 calories a day. So, Paul can do a few different things. And that's kind of what this goes through in points 1, 2, and 3. He can limit his calorie intake by 500. He can burn 500 more calories a day. Or maybe he restricts his calories by 250 and tries to burn 250 more active calories. So, those are a few different options for Paul. And it may depend on the day on what works best for you as well. It might not be just a, this week, this is what we're going to do. Taking it day by day might also help as well. So looking at the things that we are drinking to see kind of maybe we can swap some stuff out. So some of the drinks that I find that my patients don't realize just how much sugar is in them are in things like your vitamin water, your Gatorade, your Powerade, your sweet tea. This vitamin water has 120 calories in it, just in this one drink. So instead, though, if you were to drink a water that had crystallite in it, that's only going to have 5 calories. So if you drink a bottled drink that has flavorings in them on a normal basis, just by cutting this one drink out a day is going to save you 120 calories. So that's a good place to start. Or if you're drinking sodas, everybody knows that soda has sugar in it. That's not anything new to anybody. But decreasing the amount we drink can also help to decrease your calories. So this one Sprite has 240 calories in it and 64 grams of sugar. By decreasing this down to maybe an 8-ounce can of soda, one of those miniature ones, and drinking one of those is going to greatly decrease your calorie intake. It'll probably go down to about 80 to 100 calories rather than 240, which would be still a good way to cut back. I prefer you to cut out sodas, but I also know that that's not always an easy thing to do. So cutting back is better than continuing on. Other things that people don't realize how much sugar and calories is in coffee type drinks. So like the Starbucks drinks that you'll get from the gas station, those lattes, the frappuccinos, just those coffee drinks that come in the fridge at the gas stations, those are packed full of sugar. So they're going to be packed full of calories. It's better to go with a black coffee, and this time of the year when it's really cold, it's better to have a hot drink anyways. It just tastes better, warms you up a little bit. So drinking a black coffee rather than getting them out of this, and you can still put maybe a little bit of milk in it, a little bit of sugar, but trying to limit that so that then you're not getting so many calories. And lastly, I kind of pointed out already, the Powerades. Just to let you know, this Powerade right here has 200 calories in the whole drink. So getting either a Powerade Zero would be a better option, or just switching to water. Because of Powerade and Gatorade, the only people that really need to be drinking these are athletes that are exercising vigorously for more than 60 minutes. So, unless you are exercising vigorously, which means that you would not be able to carry on a conversation for more than 60 minutes at one period of time, you do not need to drink these. They're full of sugar and they're not really good for us. So, pick water, put some lemon in it, put some lime in it. Crystal is better than our Gatorades and our Powerades. Okay, so going back to our participant guides, Paul is starting to write down and measure his foods. This is really good, and it's something I really encourage you to do. We talked about it last week, measuring out those pastas and the rice and our cereals, because those are foods that we commonly underestimate how much we're eating. And so oatmeal is something that Paul has for breakfast, and that can be something that we underestimate as well, because the serving size on the container is a half of a cup uncooked. And it's when you start to add the sugar to it, though, that it really starts to accumulate those calories. If you were to just make oatmeal with a little bit of milk and some artificial sweetener versus buying the prepackaged oatmeals, you are going to be taking in a lot less calories, and you're actually going to get to eat a lot more food. So that's a suggestion that I would find for making a healthy swap to decrease those calories. But when Paul makes his meal, he is realizing that he's getting about 400 calories for breakfast. And so making sure that he is writing those down, writing down his calories, writing down what he's eating, because if you're measuring it out and writing it out, then it's going to be easier to track, and it's going to be easier to calculate okay, how many calories did I eat today? Did I go over? Did I go under? Where am I sitting for that? Okay, so healthy swaps are really important. It's going to help you to actually take that next step and hopefully decrease those calories and not make it so difficult to decrease your calories. But like I said, it's a balancing act. So we also need to talk about physical activity and how to increase that physical activity. And I know that we've been doing some different things with physical activity. Each week we kind of talk about or go over a different thing for physical activity, and what does moderate activity look like? And remember, that means that you can talk, but you can't sing. So, finding ways to burn those calories. And on page 13 of your activity guide, it actually goes through, if you weigh 150 pounds, around 150 pounds, and you do these activities for 30 minutes or an hour, how many calories you're burning. And so it's got hiking, yard work, dancing, golf, biking, walking, weight training, or stretching. So that's something helpful to just take a look at and see how many calories are you thinking that you're burning, and how many is it saying that you may be burning. And obviously, if you weigh more than 150 or weigh less than 150, you're either going to have to add calories that you would burn if you weigh more, or subtract calories if you weigh less than that, which I find to be unfair. But I know that's the way it works. So, but if you're interested in different ways to increase and burn more calories, the idea is the harder you work, the more you get that heart rate up, the more you're doing, the more calories you are going to burn. So if you're trying to increase how many calories you burn when you're walking, if you're disappointed with how few of calories that would be, try walking faster. See how fast you can walk and see how long you can do it for. And then once you get out of breath, slow back down and go to your other pace. And when you're ready, you walk fast again. So doing those things will really help. Biking is a great form of exercise. You can do a stationary bike, you can do an actual bike. Adding resistance on a stationary bike will help you to burn more calories. As well as with yard work, you can put on a weighted vest. Or if you don't have one of those around, you can, not necessarily taking the easy way out. So maybe you are raking leaves and you have 7 bags of leaves that you have to carry. So maybe instead of using the wheelbarrow and making one trip, maybe you make 3 trips back up to the curb. Yes, it's going to take you longer, but you're getting more physical activity in and you're doing more. Or maybe it's having a competition and seeing how fast you can rake the leaves, or it's seeing how fast you can do certain things to get that heart rate up a little bit higher. And then making sure that you are writing down those calories, writing down how much physical activity you are getting, and just seeing if the physical activity you think that you're getting is calorie burning wise is going to be the same as how many that they estimate that you're burning as well. So this lesson's a little bit shorter for today. A lot of this I know is a little bit of a review, but we're now getting to that point in our class that it's now time to start really practicing and fine-tuning those little areas that we need to work on, because you're starting to see trends of things that are hard or small areas that we need to make changes. So now's a great time to go ahead and think about next week, what you want to set for your goal for next week. So maybe look at what you struggled with last week and make that your goal. or maybe it's time to pick a new goal and start working towards that as well. So I will give you a minute to just go ahead and write down your goal, and then we will talk about next week. All right, and to finish this off, I sent you guys an email. I really need the information as soon as possible about if you are watching the videos and how many minutes of physical activity you have been getting. And that is about all. Next week, the video will be up as soon as possible. And just have a great week, and I will see you guys next week.